Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, can you ever really trust a liar or a cheater? Well, I've got 5 different emails that I'm going to go through with you today, and before we get into the first one, I've got a quote that I wrote on this topic that I'd like to share with you. And it says, devious people find it easier to lie and deceive than to tell the truth. Honest and honorable people believe that doing the right thing is paramount in all of their actions. Devious people deceive others and themselves because they fear undesirable outcomes and consequences. Devious people tend to only do the right thing when it's convenient, easy, or benefits them because they do not have a strong sense of right and wrong. For the devious, honesty is a moving target. A person's future behavior is predictable based upon their previous and present behavior. The only way an honest and honorable person will truly feel comfortable in relationship is if their partner is like-minded, honest, and honorable themselves. So let's get into the first guy's email. The guy, he says, "Hey Coach, I hope you're well. And this is a guy that I've coached a couple of times. I've actually answered a bunch of his email coaching emails in these video newsletters. And he says, I hope you're well. I'm totally out of control and I'm doing all the things wrong, although I know better. Self-sabotage at a high level. You are right that I'm really an emotional guy, and normally I'm very good in not acting upon them, but lately I've been out of whack. Maybe you can analyze the situation for me. I'm tired of fucking things up and fixing them afterwards. In my last email, I told you that she hid our relationship status on Facebook, and you told me to give her enough rope to hang herself, in essence. Well, I've done nothing to address this issue. You got to participate in your own rescue, my friend. He says, today, on Friday evening, she called me and asked me normal stuff like how my day was, etc. At the end, however, she told me that a guy from work might knock on her door because they might go for a coffee, but she didn't agree on a specific time. He lives in the same building and said he will knock on the following days to get a coffee. I told her that I think it's weird and should talk about it the next day when we meet. She told me it's not a big thing and she wanted to tell me so I would know, so I wouldn't wonder why a guy knocks on her door. Well, the good news is she told you about it. The bad news is, at the end of the day, what are the odds of this probably single guy wanting to just hang out for a coffee with her? Flip a coin. Either the dude is gay or he's probably wanting to get in their pants. But what it did, at least from the way you phrased it here, it almost sounds like she expected you to be with her when this guy knocks on the door. So maybe she's told him about you, that she has a boyfriend, I don't know. But it's a good thing when a woman tells you about other guys hitting on them or male friends and what they're doing and they're coming over or they're hanging out or whatever it happens to be. The key to notice or to look for is that when a woman tell you all these things and then all of a sudden it stops. They stop telling you about dudes that are hitting on them when every week they're probably telling you about 3 or 4 different guys. Now obviously if you come unglued every time she tells you about another dude, a devious person is just going to stop telling you because they're tired of the drama. But I would say, at least from this perspective, it's definitely a good thing that she told you about it. However, my question is, does this mean that is he going to be coming over when you're not there or when you are there? That's the thing you weren't really clear about in your email. He says, I couldn't help myself and called her up and addressed the issue. She told me that she hid all of her information on Facebook because during a visiting appointment, the landlord Googled her and found a lot of personal data about her, and that's why she did it. Further, she told me that she thinks it's sad that I need to address the issue, that she wants to meet a coworker as a friend and that he isn't even attractive. They met in the subway and he asked her what she's doing in the weekend and if she wants to meet for coffee. Well, she had plans with you. You would think that, oh, well, I'm hanging out with my boyfriend all weekend. She told him that I'm coming over. Well, that's good. and he said he might knock on her door to get a coffee together. She didn't want to be impolite and reject him outright. Well, the question is, did she make it clear that, hey, sure, my boyfriend and I would love to have coffee with you? Or was it like, hey, if I'm free, sure, come on over. And if my boyfriend's not there, then just you and I can go. That seems a little inappropriate if the second one is what's really going on. But it does sound like she mentioned that you would be there and therefore the three of you could go get coffee. I told her it sounds to me like a date, and I told her I can meet other girls. I just need to scan my phone for friendly dates. She told me that she won't meet him and make it clear that she's done with the issue and doesn't want any drama for her birthday weekend. If I want to continue the drama, I shouldn't come stay with her this weekend. I told her that we can stop seeing each other if she likes, and she told me she wants me to come over and we should enjoy the weekend together. You're obviously standing up for what you want, but because this particular woman has a history of cheating, and that's part of the issue here. Now, if she's always been loyal to her boyfriends, that's a different story. You wouldn't think anything of it. But when you know a woman has a history of cheating on previous boyfriends, that's the rub there. That's part of the problem, is because she has a history of it, and so when someone lies, it's just like the quote that I shared. It's just in their nature. When they feel like they're going to get themselves into an awkward situation or there's going to be drama, they'll tend to just lie and deceive to cover things up. Now, if you're an honorable person and you're honest and you're upfront, you always tell everything, and you would never go hang out with a girl just to have a cup of coffee, just you and her, because you feel it would be disrespectful to your girlfriend or your wife. What you really need is you need somebody who's like-minded, who believes in the same way of operating, who would look at that and say, you know what, I wouldn't want to give my girlfriend or my wife the impression that something may be going on, because any woman that you're dating or in a relationship with, whether they're a girlfriend or a wife, and you say, oh yeah, there's this girl from work and she wants to meet out for a coffee, and so I'm going to go meet up with her later. Any woman's going to be like, well, wait a minute, who is this girl? What's going on there? What's that all about? She's not going to be happy about it. She's going to start to wonder. And if you're an honest person and an honorable person, you believe in doing the right thing, and that's how you operate, you wouldn't even think of putting yourself in that situation in the first place, because you wouldn't want your girlfriend or your wife to have any kind of reason to doubt your loyalty, because you love them. You love her. You care about her. You wouldn't want her to worry or to start to be concerned unnecessarily, so you would never even put yourself in that kind of a situation in the first place. I know I personally wouldn't, because loyalty, the number one most important thing to men in a relationship is loyalty. You want to know that the girl you're in a relationship with has your back, that you can trust her when she's away from you. And that's the thing about devious women. They'll tell you about other guys that are just friends, and that way they absolve themselves from any kind of responsibility if something physically happens on the date between the two of them. And they can just say, oh, well, it just kind of happened. He says, I know that I shouldn't have ignored her other behavior that displayed attraction towards me, like chasing me with texts, emails, and phone calls all week. But I focused on the negative again, and after I got the reasonable explanation, I felt like a dumbass. I know I shouldn't have acted controlling like I've done in our last phone call, and I know I should have stayed calm, asked questions, gotten information, and evaluated. I know I should sit up straight, breathe deeply through my diaphragm, be mindful of the present, and dissolve my negative emotions. I feel really comfortable with the fact that she cheated on her previous boyfriends. My first instinct after I heard it was to walk away, but I didn't follow through. I know the signs to look out for, but it makes me expand every little thing that can be suspicious. It's obvious that you have a trust issue with this woman, because that's her behavior. That's what she does. When she's not happy in a relationship, she will cheat. She will run around. And obviously you've been studying my work. She's telling you about this other guy who wants to meet out for just a coffee, supposedly. And when you look at her previous history that she's cheated on other boyfriends, then of course the little red lights are going to be going off inside your head, and you're going to see the red flags that, wait a minute here. Is this because it's strictly a platonic thing, or is she telling me this because she's interested in this guy? You don't really know. Had you been in a relationship with a woman that would never cheat on any of her boyfriends and never would do such a thing, you wouldn't be worrying about this. You wouldn't question it. But it's right of you to question that. And I think an honest conversation with her, just simply saying, honey, I want you to know that I love you, but this situation, it bothers me. And the reason it bothers me is because you've cheated on your previous boyfriends. And so, I mean, from my perspective, when my girlfriend, who I love and who I adore and I love spending time with, tells me that some guy from work wants to hang out with just the two of them and have coffee, I start to wonder, and I'm sorry, I can't help it. It'd be a different story if you'd never cheated on your boyfriends. And I know, at least up until this point in our relationship, you've always been faithful and honest with me. But like I said, I can't help but wonder. Because if it were me, if the roles were reversed and a girl from work wanted to hang out and have a coffee with me, didn't matter whether you were there or not, I wouldn't even make plans to do that. The only way I would do that is if it's definitely going to be me and my girlfriend there and the three of us are going to have coffee together. I would never agree to meet her just by the two of us. And that's the way I'm looking at it. Because from what you phrased here, it's like the guy's going to come over, and if she's there alone, he's going to have a cup of coffee with her. If the two of you are there, he'll have a cup of coffee with the both of you. But from your perspective, it seems like she didn't really go out of her way to make sure, like, yeah, my boyfriend and I would love to have coffee with you. But it would be inappropriate, and I wouldn't want my boyfriend to get the wrong impression if I were just to go and have coffee with you. So that's what I would explain to her, that you don't have a problem having coffee with this dude, but just him and her alone, that's inappropriate. You would never even think to do something like that with another woman. And if another woman that you knew wanted to have coffee, you would insist that your girlfriend's there because you love her and you're a loyal boyfriend, and you'd want her to know that. And so if you can explain that to her from that perspective and communicate in an adult-like manner without blowing up or getting really upset, she'll better understand things and understand where you're coming from. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's like flip a coin. If she's got a past history of cheating, like I said, that's the best way to handle it, is to make sure she knows that you don't mind going and having coffee with the two of you and this guy, but her and just the guy, that's totally inappropriate because you would never think to do anything like that. So he says, here's a quote that he shares at the end of his email. He says, if you look for the light, you will often find it, but if you look for the dark, it's all you will see. It's an old Chinese saying. It's actually pretty good. I like that. Thanks for sharing. So let's get into the second email. This guy says, hey Corey, I wanted to give you an update on what happened with my girlfriend that I won back by following your advice after she broke up with me. To refresh your memory, you used my letter in the video newsletter that you did called When Men Lose Their Way. I'm 40 and I've been in quite a few short-term and long-term relationships with women who eventually got on my nerves and or were unfaithful. I got along great with my girlfriend and we have so many common interests. She's hot as hell and is always down for anything. She's very responsible and a dependable person. Well, dependable is good. There's nothing worse than being a type of person who's always on time and then you go out with somebody who's always habitually late. That just drives you up a fucking wall. He says she's very intelligent and funny, and after we got back together, she made it very clear that she really wanted to be with me. So she moved in with me, and she said she wants to spend her life with me. Before we got together, a year and a half ago, she was dating another guy for 10 years. It was her only serious boyfriend, and she'd been with him since she was 18. They even bought a house together. He helped her through a very traumatic experience in her life when they first met, and that experience formed a strong bond between them, even though they did not have as much in common as her and I do. Before we got together, she found out he was cheating on her, and she moved out. He did and said a lot of spiteful things to her after the breakup. We had known each other for 10 years at that time as well, and once she broke up with this guy 6 years ago, Immediately, she called me. We went on one date and shared a great night that ended with an incredible kiss. But she got back with the same guy after that, and there were no hard feelings between us, and I dated other women, including a relationship that lasted almost 4 years. I always felt intuitively that if we ever really got to know each other, we would get along very well and have a lot in common, and that was eventually confirmed. She started dating me very soon after she moved out of the house she co-owned with her ex. I thought it might be too soon for her to get into another relationship, so I tried to proceed with caution. It's a good mindset and mentality to have. Because when someone's with a guy for a decade, basically, their emotions are going to be all over the ice, and they can be all hot and into you, and then they need space. Even though you're following things proper and doing things right. And it's just because their emotions are really raw. That's why it's always good to have lots of options, especially when you're learning this stuff. He says, everything was great for the first 10 months. Then, in an effort to express my love for her in a storybook way, I did do many of the things you described that come across as weak and needy, and she responded accordingly in a textbook way by pulling away. When she broke up with me, I followed your advice, and as you know, it worked, and she came back to me in a few weeks. It's like a boomerang. He says, well, Corey, you really do know women, and some of the things she said to me regarding the time during our breakup did not add up. And I eventually learned that she started talking to and hanging out with her ex before she broke up with me. Well, that's not good. She's deceiving you there. That tells you a lot about her nature. And like when something like that happens, even when you get back together, it's going to always be in the back of your mind. Like if you ever have an argument or a disagreement, or you're away on a business trip and you're kind of not getting along real well, you're always going to start to wonder, is she calling some other guy and not telling me about that? Because she's done it to you once already. Even though this was an ex, she had a long history. The two of you were seeing each other, and she's doing this behind your back. And why would she do it behind your back? Because to her, it's better to deceive you than to potentially create any drama or deal with the truth. And obviously, it sounds like she's still hooking up with the ex while she's dating you. She wasn't completely over him. And then seeing us both during the breakup. So obviously, she was seeing him before she dumped you, and then after she dumped you, she's still seeing you. I dated a girl who did exactly that. She was, in essence, broken up with a guy she dated for a period before me, and then she told me it was over, and then we never really talked about him again, and then 3 months later, I found out that she was seeing him and seeing me, and that was just kind of her nature. It's like, hey, she just, in her mind, it was like, let me see what the best is I can get. I didn't like that too much, but hey, when you date somebody that's like that, you deserve what you get. He says, she realized the ex was still a fucking douchebag and chose me in the end. It took me a little while to find out about it and really get your techniques down. Had I been more on my game, I am certain she would have come back to me in less than 3 weeks. Had I known your material before the breakup, there would have been no breakup. When we got back together, she made it abundantly clear through her words and actions that she really wants to be with me, even before I found out the ex was back in the picture for a moment. Well, you know what? You got to pat yourself in the back because you did a pretty good job, and at the end of the day, you were able to re-attract her. And it takes a lot to deal with that. You've known this girl for 10 years, and I'm sure in the back of your mind, you're thinking, fuck, I finally got my shot. And it's hard to do the right thing in those situations. He says, when I started to figure out that she'd been seeing her ex, she went through excruciating effort to conceal it from me because she was afraid of losing me, but things just didn't add up, and she finally admitted it, issuing a tremendous mea culpa. She said she now is disgusted by her ex and has severed all contact with him, and I have no cause to doubt that. To be honest, I am torn now. Now listen to what this guy says. And this is like what I said earlier about like attracts like. And if you're an honest person, if you're a person who has integrity, and just like the previous email, you would never think about meeting another woman, especially a single woman, out for just a drink or a coffee or even a lunch if your girlfriend or your wife wasn't there because it'd be inappropriate. Think about it. He says, to be honest, I'm torn now. I've never met a woman that excites me like her and that I have such a connection with and have an easy time getting along with. And I have been with a lot of women. I'm a good-looking, confident, successful guy, and I get hit on every time I go out. I don't think it is a lack of abundance mentality on my behalf. It's just that this woman and I really click on levels I have never experienced before. And listen to what he says. He says, on the other hand, I'm very troubled by the deceit and lying of her secretly seeing and talking to her ex leading up to and during our breakup. I never lied to her once about anything big or small. He's a guy that has integrity. It just doesn't cross his mind. He's just not that kind of a person. Why? Because it's not the right thing to do. He has a strong sense of right and wrong. I don't know if she is a fundamentally dishonest person or does this fall under the category of it gave her something to do when she wasn't with me. The point being is she deceived you. That tells you a lot about her nature. And if she's a person with no integrity and only someone to just have fun with, can that be done with a woman who lives with me? What is your advice on how to proceed from here? Well, I can't tell you whether to stay with this woman or not. All I can say is the facts are she lied to you and she deceived you. You would never do something like that. But for her, she knew you for 10 years and she still did this to you. So for her, when her back's against the wall, that's her behavior. And so you have a choice. You can either accept it, as long as things are great, she's loyal and faithful. But if you ever go through a rough patch or a difficult time, you're going to wonder. You're going to worry about it, just like the previous guy's email, because she cheated on her previous boyfriends. You know, the guy in the previous email, his girlfriend did. And that's the issue here, is that you're just not going to really feel comfortable. Like, I had a woman that I dated, and that's kind of how we started dating. It was she was seeing me and she was seeing some other guy, and that's pretty much. And I learned from another, actually a girl that used to work for me who knew this girlfriend of mine many years before I ever met her, and she's like, that's exactly the way she is. She'll use one guy to get to another, to get to his friend if the friend is who she really likes. If she has the hots for one of her best girlfriend's boyfriends, she don't give a fuck. She'll go right blow the friendship up in order to get the guy that she wants. It's just the way she is. It didn't bother her. There was no strong sense of right and wrong. It was totally acceptable. It was like, hey, all's fair in love and war, as they say. So, like I said, that's her nature, and you have a choice. You can either accept it and deal with the potential consequences, or you can just treat her as a great friends with benefits until you find a woman who actually has integrity. So let's get a third email. This guy says, hey coach, I found your site about 2 weeks ago and I wish I'd found it a decade ago when I got divorced. Well, I was still in real estate full-time back then, so the website wasn't live back then. He says, your book and your info is terrific. I have a situation that I'm navigating and I need to get your advice straight away. I'm attracted to a woman at work who's half my age, and I've been following your advice by being upbeat and positive and playful with her. And she's demonstrating an interest of, I would say, a 5 or a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. Which means you're like barely hanging on, dude. You like barely got a shot with that girl. I'm using my maturity and experience and confidence, and she's responding nicely, but she has a boyfriend. Dun dun dun! We also had a great conversation at a work social gathering where I was the total man and outblocked the cockblocker coworkers. An hour and a half later, our conversation was so captivating and engaging that we did notice that everyone else had left. I walked her out and teased her a little about things like naming her car and being a fashionista, while complimenting her about her style. I then ended the conversation on a high note and said I had someplace to be, wished her a good weekend, and left. I figured that while the boyfriend is still in the picture, I'd avoid the bad juju and not undermine him or make a move right then. Good. You reap what you sow in life. And I learned the hard way when I was younger and not as smart as I am now that it's just not a good thing to do, because it always seems to come back around and bite you in the ass. Since then, I've been unclear to her about my interest in push-pulling. Her body language is very positive, strong eye contact, occasional touches. I get a big smile every time we cross paths, and she laughs at every funny comment I make. I'm walking a thin line by not letting her talk to me about the boyfriend and not being her work therapist to hear all about her work stress without being an insensitive dick. But the old saying goes, a shoulder to cry on becomes a dick to ride on. I have not heard that one before. It's true though. The dilemma, number one, other guys in our building are trying to be that shoulder. Romance at work can be a minefield and dangerous. Fishing off the company pier, dude, you never know what you're going to get, man. While there is a mutual interest, there is also a boyfriend who is on the way out. Maybe. We might have great conversational chemistry, but maybe that's all. Here's the question. Where am I in your process? Should I back away until the boyfriend is history, state my intentions, say something like, hey, your perfume is intoxicating, blah, 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 Coach Corey Wayne style, or just keep doing what I'm doing? Well, I mean, obviously she likes attention from other guys, but I wouldn't go out of my way to spend time with her, and if she happens to be around you and she's touching you, you can just tell her, just say, you are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. You are intoxicating. If you didn't have a boyfriend, I'd be all over you right now. But if it ever doesn't work out, you let me know, because I'd love to explore this chemistry that we have. And you can just leave it at that. And obviously she knows you're interested, but you're exercising restraint because you're like, hey, as long as you got a boyfriend, I ain't interested. But if she ends up hooking up with another dude at work while she's still with the boyfriend, she's a sex playmate, and that's it. And that's the way you got to look at it. But just like you said, it's better to not put that, that bad juju out there and mess around mowing another dude's lawn, if you will. Never mow another man's lawn. So let's get into the fourth email. This guy says, hi Corey, I'm writing to you from Australia and I'm reading your book for the second time now. Good job. You only have another 13 or 14 times to go. It's too bad I didn't find your material earlier. I've watched some of your videos and they make so much sense compared to other info that I've heard. The first week of October, I met this girl at my local gym on a Monday afternoon, and I had never seen her there before, so I presume she's only a casual member. I could be wrong. I took the opportunity to approach her and see what she was like. Good fucking job, dude. Takes balls to do that. I managed to get her number and set a date on that same week on a Thursday night, and she said she's never given her number to anybody at a gym before. That's a nice compliment to you, dude. In other words, I like your confidence. The date went great, and we related with each other really well, and we were open to seeing each other in the future. You're talking about the future on your first date. That's not a good idea. I tried to get her to go out again on Sunday that same week, in which she flaked, claiming that she was ill, and said we should catch up another time. I wish I hadn't done that because it was too early to reach out after the first date, but yet again, this was before I read your book. Yeah, see, what happens is she never has that time, that space away from you, because think about it. You go out on a Thursday, you have a really good date, and then you're calling her, the next day or the day after, trying to set a date for Sunday. It's pretty quick. And you start to come off as a guy who's looking for a relationship instead of just a guy who's just kind of having the attitude of, I'm not sure about her yet. I don't know if she's good for me or not. And you want to think about it for a couple of days before you ask her out again. Because when Monday, Tuesday rolls around, and then you finally do get in touch with her, she's had several days of not hearing from you, and then she starts to wonder herself, is that it? Did he not, was it a good date? Did he like me? And she's totally unsure of herself. She's unsure how your feelings are unclear. Remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And that's why it's helpful to wait several days and not be in such a rush, because when you start putting that relationship vibe out there, then the woman starts to feel like, wow, this is moving too fast. I feel like I'm going to lose my freedom, and that's when they start to back away. And obviously you saw firsthand, she flaked on you. That's why always best to start out one date per week. He says, I told her that I hope she gets well soon and we'll sort something out another time. I hung back till Wednesday evening the following week and texted her if she was free to hang out again. I never got a response until Thursday morning, so she waited until the next day. She's probably on a date with somebody else. So I didn't get a response until Thursday morning the next day saying she would like to hang out again, so we planned a date that very evening and went to the markets. Again, the date went well, and the next day she even sent me a text thanking me for last night and that she had a good time. I responded saying, "You're welcome, and if she ever wants to hang out again, let me know." Wrong. When she reaches out, I would have said, "I had a great time too. I'd love to see you again. When are you free to get together?" And let her tell you. If she says, "I don't know," let her just say, "Great, figure it out and get back to me. We'll plan something then." Remember, this is what happens. You usually get the second or third date, and then the woman feels comfortable enough to reach out, and they typically say that they had a nice time. And then that's when you just say, "Hey, I had a really great time too. I'd love to see you again. When are you free to get together next?" Or when are you free to get together next over the next week or so? And let her tell you, and then you can plan something out for 3 or 4 days out. He says the following, and if she really likes you, she'll be happy to do that because she's contacting you. Therefore, it's her idea. He says the following week, I texted her on a Thursday telling her that I scored a new job, and she wrote back saying that she was happy and that we should celebrate. I said yes, we should, and asked if she was free on the weekend, but I heard no response. I would have just said, "We should definitely do that. When are you free to get together next?" That's how you should respond. I decided to hang back until about 12 days before reaching out again, which was on a Tuesday. So I texted her asking how she was doing and briefly told her about my new job, and she wrote back asking to confirm if this was me. And she told me that she was starting to work as a trader and she was really excited about it. Apparently she lost her phone and all of her numbers over the weekend. I wrote back saying it was me and I am happy to hear about her new job. She wrote back saying we should catch up sometime, in which I said of course and asked when she was free. She said she was thinking sometime later in the week or possibly the weekend. I asked if Saturday suits her. Then she told me the whole "I'll get back to you" response, in which I said, "Great, let me know if Saturday doesn't work." And she wrote back saying that she will. And surprise, surprise, I never did hear back from her. It's been over 2 weeks, and I've yet to reach out to her again. In the meantime, I've been interacting and dating other women because I really don't want to get caught up. What's your advice? I would let it go. What you want is a woman that's really excited to hear from you, is excited to be with you. And I would say you're like, this girl really wasn't that into you. And that's bottom line. She wasn't that into you. She's not really, you're just kind of like, she's just kind of like, yeah, I don't have anything going on. Maybe I'll go see that guy. But do you really want to go out with somebody that's acting that way? What you really want is a girl that's like, oh, he called me. Oh, it's so great to hear from. Oh, I can't wait to see this guy. He's so cool. He's so hot. He's so fun. We have such a good time together. You want a woman with enthusiasm for you. You want mutual, because you think about it. You thought enough of her to write me an email and ask about the situation. I know you like her. But you're obviously way more interested in her than she is in you. And that's the problem. It's like you got to think of dating like a tennis match. And it's like you hit the ball over the net, you got to wait and see if she hits it back. And what a lot of guys do is they hit the ball over the net and they look at their watch going, what the fuck? Where is she? And then they run around to the other side of the net and they hit the ball back over. And then they run back to their side and then they hit the ball over and they wait. She doesn't hit it back, and then they run back around again. And the woman's just sitting there watching this, like watching this game that you're basically playing with yourself, and you're not getting anywhere. Think about it. If you love yourself and you think, I'm a fucking catch, I want a woman who's excited to be with me. Because a woman who's really excited to be with you, who's really attracted to you, who really wants to spend time with you, you're going to hook up with her quicker, you're going to have fun a lot faster, and she's going to make mutual effort. But it's like a lot of times guys get hung up in these situations, they keep chasing, they keep pursuing. It's just not worth it. Because you deserve somebody who thinks you're awesome. And a girl who thinks you're awesome where it's mutual, they're a lot rare, but they'll make the effort. It's like, I wouldn't waste my time. He says, is it worth reaching out to her again? No, because she said she'd get in touch with you. So I would walk and never look back, because she said, hey, when I figure out my schedule, I'll get in touch with you. And if she doesn't make the effort, guess what? She's just not that into you. He says, or should I continue to hang back and do nothing? Exactly that. Don't do anything else. He says, I obviously like this girl, but I'm not going to fall in the trap of chasing her, and I have a pretty good idea on where I went wrong, But if I can hear it straight from the expert, I will gladly accept any harsh criticism. Well, the only thing that I would say you did wrong was obviously calling her the next day or two right after your first date and asking her out again 1 or 2 days later. But you said yourself you hadn't found out about my stuff yet. And so there's probably things you were also doing and saying on the date that probably didn't help your case either. But chalk it up to experience. Other than that, the way you handle yourself afterwards, I mean, because there could be another guy in the picture, there could be an ex-boyfriend. I mean, you just don't know what's going on with her life. But you deserve to have somebody who really wants to be with you. And so just keep moving, keep circulating. Because it was really easy for you to meet this girl in the gym. And you'll meet somebody else. And when you meet somebody that's really into you, you can see it in her eyes. And that's what you want. That's what you deserve. I want you to have somebody that knocks your fucking socks off. Not a girl who's got the attitude of like, okay, I'm not really doing anything. I still go out with you. I mean, fuck, seriously. Fuck that. I want a girl doing cartwheels in her fucking front lawn when you call. Like, oh my God, he called. And she calls all of her girlfriends like, he called me. We're going out again. I'm so excited. I really like this guy. That's what you want. You want her feeling those butterflies for you. And those connections, that kind of chemistry doesn't happen every single time. There's some women you go out with and you'll sleep with, and then you can't ever get them on the phone again. There's some women that you go out with, you kiss, you make out, and you think, hey, is this going somewhere? And then 1 or 2 days later they go cold, and you did everything right. And that's just the way it is. Sometimes women are horny too, and they just want to get laid. And other than that, they're not really into it. Maybe they don't really like you. Maybe they don't feel like they have enough chemistry, or maybe they're a little wacky. You can't get hung up or attached to when it doesn't go where you want it to. Don't take it personally. Just keep on moving. So let's get into the 5th and final email. This guy says, hey Corey, first let me say thank you for all your videos and articles. You're helping me and other guys to become strong, masculine 3% men. I've donated some money to show you my appreciation. I have a question for you. Should I accept or tolerate women showing up late when on a date? By the way, thanks for the donations. I always appreciate those. Well, feminine energy tends to be a little disorganized and not on time, but what I've found is that the women that I have the greatest chemistry with and the best relationships with, and they have a really high attraction level for you, think about it. They want to earn you. They want to make sure that they're treating you properly. And so that means when you meet them out for a date, they're always on time. That means when you go to pick them up, they're ready. I've gone out with women that are exactly like that, where you get there and they're not ready, and then you got to sit down and wait for them to finish doing their hair or whatever. I mean, it may happen every once in a while, but when you have a woman that's just habitually late, it just shows a lack of respect, or maybe she's just a flaky kind of person. Can you imagine having kids with someone like that, where she's always a half hour late? What's she gonna do? Leave little Johnny at school waiting for her? Hey, can you pick little Johnny up? My hair appointment ran long. Sorry. You know, if you're a punctual person, an on-time person, that type of shit would drive me nuts. And women that were like that, one of the girls I dated who posed for Playboy, fucking beautiful girl. I go to her house, she fucking took her 20, 30 minutes to finish getting ready. House a fucking mess. Kids are a fucking terror. She's still living with her ex-husband. It's just, she's a mess. And it's like, I think I went out 2-3 times with her. I was just like, fuck that. I ain't got time for that noise. It's like, I want a high achiever. I want a woman who respects and appreciates the fact that I'm coming over and she's ready for me. Now if she's like, yeah, I'm going to get ready. I pose for Playboy. I'm fucking hot. You know, come on. I'm a catch too. You deserve a woman who knocks your socks off and who appreciates you and who loves you and who respects you and gets ready on time. He says, I get a lot of dates with very attractive women. However, I'd say 95% of the time these women show up 10, 15, or sometimes 20 minutes late. I usually laugh it off when they arrive, and the dates mostly end back at my place with a makeout session or sex. The thing is, integrity is very important to me, and I believe that when I set a definite date with a woman with a definite time, I'm there on time, so she should be there on time also. I respect people's time, and I expect the same back. Well, tell these women that. Say, you know what, you're a great girl, I really love spending time with you, but you know what, it really irks me that I show up and you're like, not ready. Or you show up 20 minutes late when you're coming over to my place, and it just shows, it makes me feel like you don't respect me and you don't respect my time. And I don't like that. I don't like being treated that way. And if we're going to continue to see each other, that needs to stop. Because otherwise, I'm going to lose interest. And I really like you, and I want to continue to see things evolve between us. But, you know, it just rubs me the wrong way. Say it one time and see what they do. A girl who really appreciates you and values you will say, you know what, it is rude. And I will make an effort. I will make a special effort for you because you're special to me. You mean so much to me that I'm going to, even though I'm going to be flaky with my girlfriends and my friends and my family, I'm going to show up on time for you. That's what you want. You want a woman that'll do that for you. But you got to communicate. The quality of your relationship, all of your relationships in your life, is going to be in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you consistently ask one another and yourself for that matter. He says, I feel that most of the women I've dated so far don't value punctuality and think being late is no big thing. Well, if you just laugh it off like it's no big thing, then you're enabling their behavior. You're basically communicating, yeah, blow me off, don't show up in time. It doesn't matter. When it's making you stew inside, because eventually you're just going to blow up and be like, what the fuck? You're always a half hour late. And they're like, they're going to be shocked. So let them know right away the first time. They do it once, you're like, okay. But if they keep doing it 2-3 times, you're like, we got to talk. I understand feminine energy is different from masculine energy, whereas men, our words are bond, but it just pisses me off when women, during dating, don't respect my time as much as I respect theirs. Am I being too anal? Or should I just accept this as part of the package of dating women? Or should I maintain my high standard and wait until I meet a woman who shares the same value of punctuality as I do? Well, I'd say part of what it sounds like here is you're not standing up for yourself and letting them know that that's not cool behavior. Because after you talk to them one time and you tell them about it, if they're good for the next couple of times and they start showing up late again, you're like, you're doing it again. You're late, and that's not cool. I'm not happy about this. It shows a total lack of respect and appreciation for me. And if this is the way you're going to be, then it's probably not going to work between us. You have to be that way sometimes. But ideally, you want to go out with a girl who does this stuff naturally, and you don't even have to bring it up. Because if you're always on time, but maybe it's just some of the type of women that you're attracting, or the type of women that you typically ask out. Women that are high achievers, that have jobs where they have to actually be at work at a specific day and a specific time, and they got their shit together, they work out, they take care of the bodies, they eat healthy, they do all those little things, they're going to show up on time. Remember, no one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. That's definitely something to think about. So if I were you, like I said, I would talk to them, but if it doesn't change, then blow them off and keep looking until you find a woman who just naturally shows up on time. Because if you're a punctual person and you're with somebody who's flaky and never shows up on time, it'll grate on your fucking nerves and it'll create problems in your relationship. That's why it's important to date like-minded people, people who have similar goals, similar values, similar interests, and take your time. Think about it. All you need is one really great girl. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book either email coaching, phone coaching, or Skype coaching. And you can go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for whatever option you would like to purchase. And I will talk to you soon.